It's a big day. It's a big day in Iowa, and I want to thank you for being here today as I have the opportunity to sign Senate File 359.
That bill is better known as the Fetal Heartbeat Bill and bans abortions in Iowa after a fetal heartbeat is detected.
And experts say that heartbeat can be detected as early as 6 weeks into a woman's pregnancy. Governor Reynolds today signed the bill into law at the Iowa State Capitol with women and children lined up behind her and the sounds of protesters in the background. The governor thanked lawmakers who worked on the bill. Reynolds said she anticipates her action will be challenged in court and the courts might put a hold on the law until it reaches the Supreme Court. But for her, she said it's immoral to stop an innocent beating heart.
I believe that all innocent life is precious and sacred. And as governor, I have pledged to do everything in my power to protect it. And that's what I'm doing today. I understand that not everyone will agree with this decision. But if death is determined when a heart stops beating, then doesn't a beating heart indicate life?
Reynolds said she is not going to back down from who she is or what she believes in. Republican lawmakers with control of the State House passed the so-called heartbeat bill early Wednesday with back-to-back chamber votes along party lines. The bill is one of the most restrictive pieces of legislation in the country. Any person who violates the provisions in the bill is guilty of a Class C felony.
As we mentioned off the top tonight, that law effectively bans most abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy. There are exemptions, though, for both rape and incest.
Critics say that many women may not even know they are pregnant during the first 6 weeks. An exception is made for medical emergency, which applies to a situation where an abortion is performed to preserve the life of the pregnant woman whose life is endangered by a physical disorder, physical injury, or physical illness.
No exception, though, is made for psychological conditions, emotional conditions, familial conditions, or the woman's age. There's also no exception for instances when continuation of the pregnancy would create a serious risk of substantial and irreversible impairment of a major bodily function of a pregnant woman.
The sounds of protesters were audible in the hallways of the Capitol. Protesters could also be heard outside of the Capitol.
Planned Parenthood held a rally outside the Capitol today and said that it plans to file a lawsuit to challenge that new law. Any challenges to that law would likely consider if it violates U.S. Supreme Court rulings, including the landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade decision, which legalized abortion. Republican lawmakers hope that the fetal heartbeat bill could be one of the first steps to eventually overturning Roe v. Wade, which again legalized abortion nationwide in 1973.
The bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Sioux City praised Governor Reynolds signing the fetal heartbeat bill into law this afternoon. Bishop R. Walker Nicholas said hopefully this is the right time to pass legislation that could pose a challenge to Roe v. Wade. As individuals who support pro-life causes, we hope this is the first step in changing what has been the law of the land for more than 4 decades. Nicholas says he recognizes that some provisions of the bill will be challenged in court and could ultimately be overturned, but he said it's, quote, a risk we take in defense of the unborn.
KTIV spoke with all 6 Democratic gubernatorial candidates, all of whom running for the right to challenge Kim Reynolds in the upcoming election. We'll hear what they have to say about Reynolds' decision to sign the bill into law coming up tonight on News 4 at 6.